my experience being sick this time around. Not another time, just this time around. Alright? I want to talk about it. I feel like at this point, I need to. Right? I need to talk about it. I need to get it off my chest now. So, I have been sick the last couple of days, you know, and you want to know some things I really hate about it? Not even just the last few days, just every time I get sick, it ruins everything I want to do in some way, shape, or form. You know, like, for example, you know, sure, I'm live, you know, and I'm there, you know, even if I'm sick, I'm there. I feel like it ruins streams and it ruins my mood very quickly because, you know, I'm not at 100%. I'm lower than 100%, you know, when making that stream / any type of video on my page. It really annoys me when I'm not at 100%. That's one thing that annoys me about being sick. Another thing that annoys me about being sick is how easily I can be bedridden. And what I mean by bedridden, I mean, like, I barely move. You know, again, I've mentioned in vlogs that I just kept going in and out of consciousness. Like, I just kept getting knocked out over and over and over again. Day 2. I don't like sleeping for an hour and then waking up the next hour and a half. Just repeating that process 5 to 6 different times in one day. Right? It fucking sucks. I mean, literally, day 1 I got sick. You know, I woke up at like 2, 3 in the morning with saliva filling my entire mouth. Like it had nowhere else to go. I mean, like, think about that. Like, so much saliva in my mouth. Day 1 I was sick is ridiculous. To the point I had to go fucking spit that shit out over and over again. You know? Fucking scared me. I mean, another thing why I hate being sick is I can barely use my voice. I mean, right now I can use it, but my point is when your voice / throat gets so fucking scratchy, you know, that shit pisses me off so much because it takes away my ability to talk, you know. And you guys know me, in my videos, 9 times out of 10, I'm a talker, you know. I flap my gums like I am right now about being sick. I flap my gums. I do it every video. I talk in every video. Some videos, yeah, I'm quieter than others, but for the most part, I'm talking about random topics that, you know, we all hop on board with or whatever. I'm talking. And being sick negates that in a way. And as you guys know, I don't like taking breaks. I don't like doing none of that stuff. So having my voice be kind of messed up for a little bit really bothered me. You know, I haven't fed fucking Pip yet because I was gonna wait until Dad woke up for that. But anyways, there's so many like things I could go into, like having a high fever. Like, that sucks for obvious reasons. I mean, when you have a high fever, you know, you can barely function, you can barely move around, and that usually happens to me every time I'm sick. Is I get bedridden so quickly by high fevers or just in general because my body barely wants to move, and that annoys me because I'm a pretty movie person. So it's like movie as in, like, not emotionally, like not like mood swing wise, but I'm pretty movie as in, like, I move a lot, you know. So it kind of bothers me that Um, all that shit happened and whatnot, and so on and so forth. Um, when I'm sick, or just sick in general, I'm trying to keep my composure because it took me a long time to go to sleep last night. And I'm going to get into why. I remember it was after Squid Games, right? Because me and Nick stayed up all night. It was like 1 o'clock by the time. Because usually whenever Nick hangs out with me, he always, since he gets off work late, like 6, 7, maybe 8 o'clock my time, 9 o'clock my time sometimes, or 10 o'clock my time, literally. Morning. I haven't fed her yet, but I did muff a little bit ago. No, it is 5, so it's early on. What do you think about the ending? The ending of Squid Game Season 1, I'll make an entire separate video on that. And I'll make an entire separate video on Part 7 of The Ranch. But basically, my point is me and Nick basically watch shit together late at night. And we're usually done by 1, 2, maybe 3, 4 in the morning. It's mainly because he can't really get me at any other times. 9 times out of 10, unless he's on break for a day or so. That's like the only times he can get me way earlier, but I digress. Right? And I remember it didn't happen immediately after Nick left. But I remember Louis was going to get on the PlayStation. And I told him, "What are you doing getting on the PlayStation?" He said, "I'm going to get on. I'm going to stay up for maybe an hour or two," basically, because I know Louis, he's like a night owl. That man will basically stay up most of the night, 95% of the time. Even when he's fucking sick right now, he'll stay up. It's ridiculous a little bit. But anyways, I told him, "No, we're going to go to sleep because we're sick, man. We need to take care of our bodies." The only reason I stayed up was because I know Nick has no other time frame to hang out, and whatnot. So I told Louis to go to bed, and one of the worst feelings in my entire life happened last night. And I ain't gonna lie, I felt like I was losing myself last night. Like, legit losing myself. Because I remember I kept coughing. And by the way, yes, the coughing's another reason why I hate being sick 90% of the time. Because you cough, it starts out like every 20, 30 minutes, right? Yeah, every 20 and 30 minutes, you'll cough like once or twice and it'll hurt and yada, yada, yada. But the more coughing you get into it, or not more coughing you get into it, that doesn't make any sense. The more sick you are, or the more sick you're into it, right? Or more into being sick, like the longer you've been sick, the worse your coughs will be. Like, for example, instead of 20 minutes, it'll be every 10 minutes. You'll start coughing every 15 minutes. Or 10 minutes, then it goes to 9 minutes, 8 minutes, 7 minutes. You get the point. And then it goes to 5, and it's like you're coughing every 5 seconds. I mean, I noticed with my cough, like every time I raise my voice, or every time I get excited, or I get stressed, I start fucking coughing my ass off. I mean, literally, as I tried to blow my nose at the beginning of this, I immediately started coughing, at least once. Right? But last night, since my sickness this time around, basically I'm realizing, or my body is going through this sickness like in real time. Like, for example, day 1 I was sick. I was bedridden. I was falling asleep constantly, fever, all that other sort of shit. It wasn't coughing, just that my throat was scratchy, all that other sort of shit. My throat felt like shit. That's how it started, my throat being scratchy. And then a day or so later, it started being me constantly going in and out of sleep mode, and not being at full strength, just wanting to pass out all the time and whatever, right? And day 3 was kind of, for the most part, good, right? This is moving on, I think, to day 4 right now, but of me being sick. But day 3 was mostly good until last night, where I just started coughing up a storm. And when I started coughing up a storm, it wasn't like annoying at first because I realized, okay, this cough isn't that bad. Because every uh, 5, 10, 15 minutes, or if I make myself excited, or I get stressed, or I'm like, yo, that's crazy. Like, I basically just go above and beyond, or I basically, react like I usually would at things, or whatever. I start coughing a lot. I start coughing, and also another thing that was constant too. I think middle of day 2 was my nose started like in real time. I'm talking. What I mean by that is like it was scratchy nose at first, or scratchy throat at first. Like throat being overall annoying day 1, where I was constantly having saliva, constantly spitting, or just trying to do that stuff. You already know, basically, right? But what made me lose my shit, right? That's what you guys really want to know, right? What made me lose it, right? Is, again, let me go back to that because I got sidetracked for a little bit. Basically, when I laid on that bed and tried to sleep, I just could not stop thinking about that fucker Jimmy. Like, that fucker Jimmy, because keep in mind, guys, Jimmy is my brother's workplace manager, and for the past 2 to 3 years, he has never failed to get Louis sick or get Louis with something. Like it was either Jimmy or somebody at fucking work. It's like every fucking year, from Louis' workplace in specific, he always gets fucking sick, right? And since Jimmy got him sick at least the last 2 times or maybe 3 times to my knowledge, right? Because Louis has been working at Fry's for 2 to 3 years by this point. I couldn't stop thinking about him. And after it was just thoughts, those thoughts turned into different points where I thought up of different slash multiple different scenarios of how I would talk to Jimmy about this whole thing. Some of them started off nice, but the more I thought about it over and over again, and keep in mind, I was constantly thinking about Jimmy. There was not a second that went by that I wasn't thinking about him. And no, this isn't like in a lovely way. This kind of turned out into more of like, fuck this guy type of way. Like, I want to murk him type of way, right? Because he's the whole reason I'm like this, right? And I'm like this right now towards you guys. He's always been the reason I've been sick, at least somewhere in the year, every year. I wouldn't say every year since we moved in because that's not the truth, but damn it, I'm telling you, like for the last 3 years, he's got me sick, right? And I remember for most of the night, I couldn't sleep because of that. Not only just my constant thinking of Jimmy did this, Jimmy caused this, we should fucking go murk him. Like, my brain was literally telling me, we should go murk this dude. We should go do something to this dude. And I'm trying to tell my brain, no, I'm good. I'm good. I don't want to do nothing. I just want to go up to him nicely and just ask. And I still want to do that. Like, go up to him nicely and just ask him and talk to him about it. Be civil about it. And say like, hey man, if you're sick, I know you're a manager and you got to work every day. I get that, but if you're sick, can you please let Louis know in advance or something? Right? Can you please let Louis know in advance that, my bad, I froze there for a second, but can you please let Louis know in advance that you're sick so he'll know to, like, not be around you so he doesn't come home fucking sick? Or maybe, like, I don't know, like, wash your hands 24 fucking 7, Like, please do something. I am tired of getting sick every year because of that man or Louis' fucking workplace. And I remember just being so angry about that I couldn't even process myself going to sleep. And then on top of that, my cough last night was so constant that every other second that I even tried to sleep. You know, my cough would wake me right the fuck up. You know, I like, and oh my god, and it just got so bad that I stayed up for a long while. You know, I think at this point it was like 1:40ish or something. Just keep in mind, when I told Louis we're gonna go to bed, that was like at 1:03. So like my brain was literally losing it for more than 20 minutes, right? And I remember I was on that bed. I was trying to deal with it by myself, but a part of me said, I need my tablet. I need to listen to music. I need to do something, right? Because it's not leaving my mind. I feel like I'm losing my mind in the moment, right? I'm losing myself completely. And your throat was hurting? No, like I said, my throat has been fine after day one and stuff, but I'm talking like I'm coughing all the time, at least last night. And, you know, I'm not on fire, but basically just coughing a lot to the point it was annoying. And my fucking nose, right at the moment, right, my nose is all constantly stuffy. I need to blow into it to kind of get the shit going, right? I need to, or get the shit out of my nose, obviously. That's why I fucking blow into it type shit. But yeah, I remember it got so bad that I said, you know what? Since, you know, I realized, you know, when I tried to put music on, like, and tried to sleep that way, that shit literally wasn't working. I was still thinking about it until like I found like a prayer or a message video like at the perfect time for some reason. I stopped for a little bit, but then after a while, I started thinking about him again because my mind was not clearing up. My mind was not the fucking same, you know? And I said, you know what? I'm going to do something nice, all right? Well, not nice, but I'm going to do something to release this negativity I have towards Jimmy getting me sick. Because a part of me was going back and forth in my mind, like, nah, it's okay. Don't be mad at him for something like this. No, be furious. Like, it was constant back and forth. Well, by the way, like, constant back and forth with that. Me thinking of reasons why I shouldn't murk him, thinking reason why I want to, and it was just the whole thing, right? And I'm not trying to make any threats. I'm just telling you how it fucking was, right? But I decided to get on the Wii, right? And play the entirety of Punch Out Wii. Like, not the entirety of it, that includes title defense fights, but I remember I was so frustrated with everything. And I felt like, what's a great way to relieve my frustration? But since it was so late at night, obviously I couldn't, like, express it vocally. You know, I couldn't express it, I couldn't express it physically or vocally. So, how am I going to express, you know, how am I going to get rid of these negative feelings, slash, how am I going to make my mind go back to how it was before all this shit, right? So, I decided to play Punch Out Wii, and, you know, again, when I got on that Wii and did that, I started to feel a lot better because I was doing something about my anger. Because I mentioned it before, you know, if I don't, you know, do anything to relieve myself of it, you know, it's just going to stay bottled up inside. And I don't know, nowadays, you know, I'm starting to hallucinate sometimes again. My anger's gone up a wall, so I honestly don't know what's up. But again, I decided to play Punch Out to relieve myself of those negative feelings and everything, and I did that. And I remember I felt so much better. It was like 2:48 by the time I finished. Uh, because keep in mind, I can play Punch Out. Punch Out Wii's like base fighting roster, like no tomorrow, anywhere, anytime, no matter what version, I can just do it, right? So now, if we're talking tower defense, then that's something entirely different. I cannot do that, but you get my point. I fought the entire base roster, and I thought that was cool. And I said, you know what? I feel better. I want to have a good night. And also in between that, I did text Void a little bit, kind of telling him what's up. I didn't want to tell him the full thing because it was so late by that point, and I didn't want to talk about it until like I could express it in a way that doesn't. I mean, I'm not trying to say like, okay, it's confusing because like I want to. Basically, what I'm trying to say is I wanted to wait until I was able to express myself calmly and, without any sort of anger or whatever towards it, right? I wanted to explain it in that state, you know? That's basically how I wanted to do it, and that's my experience being sick this time around. I mean, literally, Louis a couple hours ago said his throat was destroying him. Like, he's getting sore throat / he has to spit a lot. And his throat's really feeling like fucking shit. So as soon as he wakes up, he's going to feel it. And keep in mind as well, when Louis got sick by Jimmy, he was basically going through everything that I'm going to go through in the future. Like, basically, I was looking at what's going to happen to me in the future. Like, it's honestly that ridiculous. And I'm not joking about this because I got everything the same, just in a different order, right? No joke. Like, whenever he said, I feel weak for a day, that happened. When I started coughing a lot, that happened. I mean, that happens to everybody when they get sick. But it's like, imagine having, your sibling or anybody close to you, like, being sick, right? And right in front of you, since you're going to get sick after, or you're already sick with them, it just hasn't been as long for you as for them and stuff. You're seeing them right now. So meaning I'm like day 5 when I'm sick, or probably day 6, my throat is going to fucking destroy me, and I won't be able to fucking talk at all, even though my throat has already been destroyed day 1 because I got a scratchy throat already. But I don't know, because he was talking about his throat burning or whatever, and I'm sitting there like, I'm fucking scared a little bit. And I hate being scared. I mean, not scared. I hate being sick because of all these things. Everything you can get while being sick. Throwing up, right? Getting high fevers, coughing, being bedridden, not being able to move all that much. All that shit. It's so annoying. And I would rather be, never sick, And by the way, as well, I decided to be a little smart. And for some reason as well, last night, I forgot to mention this, I was cold as shit last night. And I know because the AC was on, right? And it flows through every room in the house, and it was pretty fucking cold, right? But I swear to fucking God, I know the AC wasn't that bad, but I felt like my body wasn't getting the proper warmth that it needed to kind of counteract the cold a little bit. And I could not stop shaking too. So like, as well as like that shit was going on with my mind, my body just was shivering and all that shit until I came up with the idea to wear my Ryuko hoodie, and that shit feels like it absorbed a lot of sweat from me last night. Cause I ain't gonna lie, like I'm sticky as shit underneath, but I'm glad because, it helps me sweat the shit out of my system. So I'm glad I kind of, put that on and left this shit on last night because, you sweat the bad stuff out. It'll help you along the way with your sickness. I think that's why I even feel remotely better after sleeping for only 2, because right now it's 5 to 6, right? And I went to bed at 2:40. Oh, it's 6 right now. So, because it was like 2:40, I went to bed, and it took me a while to go to bed. So I was there like in my bed at 2:50-ish at night. So let's go 3:50, 4:50, 5:50, 6. Basically, I've only slept for 3 hours. And for most of the day, since I want to get this out of the way, I was planning on just, either going to sleep most of the day and whatever, just either that or something else. But I wanted to at least express in this my experience video, my experience episode. And I know a lot of my experience episodes aren't just game reviews, you know, they're also about how I am in general sometimes, or I'm feeling in the moment. And yeah, and think about it, it's my experience, right? So it's like my experience dealing with things, or my experience going through things. That's basically what the series is all about. But anyways, so yeah, that's kind of currently where I'm at right now. I'm feeling a lot better after last night, and up here, anyway, I'm feeling a lot better in the mind up here. Physically, I still kind of feel like shit, like in terms of walking around everywhere, and I feel obviously more sluggish than I usually do, because usually I would walk like this anyway, like a fucking zombie, but I walk even more like a fucking zombie now, or some stupid, or whatever. 3 hours of sleep? Yeah, 3 hours of sleep, man, that's all I got. And I'm planning to change that, right? I'm planning to change that today by sleeping a lot, but what's bothering me, right, and I know this also is, and I know everyone's telling me to go to sleep, you know, try to sleep to the best of your ability. It's really hard for me to sleep at the best of my ability, mainly because I can't sleep for a couple of hours sometimes. Like, the only times I would sleep for maybe a couple of hours if I was extremely exhausted, right? Or if I need to go to bed at night, and usually I would get 5 to 6 hours on top of that or something, or maybe 3 to 4 hours if I was exhausted or something. And, you know, because I'm an early riser, I'm so used to waking up early in the morning, like 6 o'clock, 5 o'clock, basically waking up, doing my streams at that time or a little bit later on and all that. I'm so used to doing that like my sleep schedule is weird, because it feels like regardless of how many hours I sleep, I still wake up at 5 to 6 in the morning. I don't know why, but it's freaking drilled into me to wake up around those times, or 5, 6, 7, or 8 o'clock. You know, and I'm not joking. It is extremely consistent. I wake up at 5:50, 6 o'clock, you know, 7, 8 o'clock, because, you know, I got things to do in the morning. You know, I got to feed the babies, you know, when I wake up too. Not just stream, but I got to use the bathroom, all that shit. And I'm also a morning person, so I'm awake during this time period, you know, doing my stuff. So it's just, again, it's just difficult for me to sleep, you know, a lot. So, but and also I have been eating. I want people to know this, since I am still currently sick when making this. Obviously, I have been drinking a lot of water. All right, so I don't want y'all to worry about me. I've been drinking a lot of water. Okay, I have been, you know, trying to sleep up as much as I can. I've been eating a ton of broth, like chicken broth with veggies and all that stuff. I've been drinking that stuff. I've also been drinking tea. I've also had throat little candies to help my throat from the past. So yeah, I'm doing the best I can to take care of myself and not get sick. Well, also another thing that sucks about being sick, right, is trying your best not to get others sick. Because when I got sick, I ain't gonna lie to you, like, I was extremely paranoid, you know. And before I got sick, I want to mention this, since this is my experience being sick this time around, so I can mention it. Before I got sick, you know, and Louis is the first one that got sick, I remember I sprayed everywhere in the fucking room with Lysol/disinfectant spray. And, like, Louis' side of the bed, my side of the bed, everything he touched, everything he used, like the PS5 and everything of the sort, you know. I was being basically a fucking germ freak. And I still ended up getting sick, because even through that mask, micro germs can spread out, microscopic germs. Because I remember I talked to Dad about this for a while. Or Dad was talking to me and Louis about this for a while. You were in the same room. I mean, yeah, we share a room, so, I mean, regardless, I'm going to get kind of fucked up. But I felt like this time, since I was a little bit more prepared for it than usual, it just sucks that, like, my efforts literally meant nothing. because I still got sick anyway. Like, again, I was spraying Lysol everywhere, every day, on every area he went, everything he touched. You know, I was spraying the fuck out of that Lysol. Shit. After I got sick, I was spraying the fuck out of the Lysol everywhere I fucking went. You know, I was spraying it in the bathroom. I was spraying it even on the front door, even around my front door. You know, I was spraying it because I took out trash. I do dishes, so I spray a little bit in the kitchen because I'm freaking paranoid, man. I don't want other people getting this way. And obviously, Dad somewhat got the same way as me, but so far, you know, I asked him, he's doing good. He's doing better than I am, probably. I hope. I don't know. The air was infected, probably. Yeah. And also, since we do live in a small apartment, you know, dust can easily form in here, and it's so easy for germs to spread in here and just stay here without them really necessarily burning and being gotten rid of, you know what I mean? So, it's a little bit more difficult because of that, too, but I'm doing my best out here. That's what I'm trying to say, basically, to you guys, is I'm doing my best while sick. Also, I kind of want to shout out Leviathan / Levi, because, you know, randomly yesterday, you know, she asked if I was all good, you know, and this is after, like, my vlog, you know, when Lexi pissed me off by saying what she did, and all that other sort of shit, right? She was texting me about me being sick and saying, you know, giving me ideas to help me get better and all that other sort of stuff. So shout outs to her for kind of keeping an eye on me. And again, Void was also trying best, but again, you know, Void realized, well, not realized, but it was more of like it was late, you know, for both of us, and we didn't want to be there for like over an hour, you know what I mean? Which, to be fair, I probably would not have wanted to be there for over an hour. Not because I don't like Void, but mainly just because of what time it was. And, you know, I don't, you know, because I don't know what I could have done in my state. You know what I mean? I could have been an absolute D-bag or whatever because it's late at night or whatever, and I'm feeling like shit. So I didn't want to put any of that negative, you know, energy on Void and or even Levi, you know. Even when I was feeling like shit, you know, I don't want to do that. You know, by saying everything and everything I felt until this video, really. So, and even then, I want to try my best and do it as tame as possible, because we have a lot of people out here nowadays that are toxic, like beyond, way worse than me on here, all right? And honestly, I'm pretty tame compared to a lot of these other content creators. I am very tame in comparison. I look like a freaking, like, I don't know what in comparison to them, but y'all realize, like, I am tame as hell. I mean, sure, I have my moments, but, like, for the most part, some of these guys are crazy, bro. But, anyways, I don't want to make this video too long. I just wanted to express my experience being sick of this time around, you know, like in this specific moment, like what's happening to me in this specific moment / this specific time frame of me being sick. Oh yeah, I also played Ninja Gaiden 1 and 2 while being sick. That was fucking cool, I guess, you know. But anyways, other than all that, thank you so much for listening. Thank you guys so much for watching. Chris has been popping off every day since he figured out stuff on his phone. So go check him out. Go like, comment, subscribe, favorite, share his stuff. And I don't know, you can share. I don't know about this video. I don't know if you can share it, but you know, thank you for listening to me anyway. And I'm gonna take off. You know, I'm probably gonna get more sleep or watch a little bit of YouTube and eat a little bit of ice cream so my body can just have something in it and just chill, you know. But yeah, until next time, guys, I love you guys. I'll see you guys later. I'll try and make this the only stream, but I can't guarantee that because you guys know how I feel. Sometimes I just say, hey, fuck it, let's do this, let's do that, or whatever. So I'm just saying, if I do stream later, it might happen, it might not, you know. But anyways, take care, guys. I love y'all. And don't worry, I'll get through this sickness, and obviously I will, because it's not like it's my deathbed, but I'm just saying, I will get through this sickness. I will be better. Give it a few more days, like 5, 6, 7. Give it like near a week or something, and I might be better by then. A week and a half, something like that. I don't know. I'll be probably better by then. But until then, I'll see you guys next time. And no, I'm not taking a break. I'm going to be uploading tomorrow. You vomited? No, I didn't vomit at all. And I started to notice that when I'm sick too. I haven't really truly vomited out stuff in years. But, like truly vomited, but, I haven't done that in literal, that's crazy. I haven't done that in literal years, it felt like. But anyways, I'm out. See you later.